Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's doing great today. Good morning. It's going to be one of those shows where we're going to be having at least a good hour or so of information, gear talk, guitar talk, and the usual smorgasbord of sideline off-topic subjects that we're going to be covering today. I hope everybody's doing really well. I hope everybody is ready and is in shape. So thank you for joining me so early this morning. For those of you that are new, welcome. Today is show 233. This time I think I got the number right. Last time I mentioned the number, and the number I mentioned didn't jive with the number on the screen over here. So it is what it is. Today I think we're correct in saying that it's show number 233. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. I hope you can. I hope everything's nice and clear. And we're going to be jumping right into some very interesting topics today. So first of all, let's just welcome everybody that's here in the house. And there's probably a couple of you missing today because of Thanksgiving. For those of you, the friends that are located in the US of A, maybe we have a couple of casualties. Somebody's still digesting or dealing with some indigestion after Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a wonderful celebration and enjoyed food, family, friends, all that kind of great stuff. I know that lately things have been pretty crazy in terms of all these things going on throughout the world, and voting and elections and conflicts and all that kind of stuff. But the Addicted to Gear show is the safe haven where we can actually get together and basically discuss things that make us feel good, which is guitars and gear. So welcome. And if you haven't already jumped into the Addicted to Gear channel recently, you should take a look because we have tons of videos out there. I'm actually finishing up a video for you guys today. I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of minutes, but I'll probably release that video tomorrow morning. You guys can enjoy that one, all right? So welcome. Grab a beverage, get your favorite guitar, kick back, and let's celebrate the passion that unites us all, which is music. So first, I got to make a little comment since we're talking about Thanksgiving. I got to give a shout out to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know if you guys saw the video. I think it was on TikTok. I happened to stumble upon it on TikTok. And Robert was cooking up. He was deep frying a beautiful looking turkey. And he was doing it very uniquely. I never actually saw anybody prepare a turkey like this. He had a turkey. He was hanging it from some kind of looked like a little chain or a rope or something like that. And he dropped it slowly into a big vat of fat that was basically really, really hot. And he just put it in there, dropped it in there slowly, and deep fried the entire bird for about 40 minutes. When he pulled it out, it was beautiful. It looked like golden, beautiful looking turkey. And he did all of this barefoot outside by this big vat of boiling liquid fat, basically. It could have turned into a disaster, but it turned out fine, and I'm sure they enjoyed a really nice turkey dinner. And I gotta say, kudos to him for deep frying a turkey like that, especially since I think his official title right now is Health and Human Services Secretary. So he's the guy in charge of health. So I found that pretty funny that he was actually deep frying a turkey. But anyways, that's neither here nor there, and kind of a sideline topic for today's Addicted to Gear show. So what's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good. Let us know if you have questions right off the bat. You know the drill. If you do have questions, all you need to do is just put a little question mark ahead of it so I know it's geared for me. I'm going to quickly just scan through the comments that I missed at the beginning, and that way I can already answer a couple of questions. So there's, I believe Profile Productions had a question. I see here it says, would you know a place that is reasonable? Hold on a second. Let me get the full question here. He says, good morning, Tony. I bought some speaker wire for my amp, 12 gauge. I'll cut the length and about 90% or straight, way cheaper than the cables already done. Would you know a place that is reasonable? So I'm not sure what, am I reading your question right? Would you know a place that is reasonable for what now? For speaker wire? Is that what you're talking about? Am I understanding the question? Just fill me in on exactly what you're asking there. I think you're asking me whether I know places that you can buy speaker wire, I guess, not already prepared, that you can solder on the tips, the connectors, and make your own. Is that what am I getting the right information here? If that's the question, I would say there are, at least in my area, there are local places that sell surplus electrical supplies. You can get everything from, you know, pots and switches and knobs and wiring and all that kind of stuff. They usually sell this kind of thing in rolls by the foot. And I'm sure that if you look in your area, I don't know where you live exactly, but in your area, you would probably be able to find a similar thing. And also you probably can find that online. Now there was, hold on, I'm trying to remember the name of the website that does sell. Hold on, just give me 1 second here. I'm just trying to remember the name. It could very well be in Canada, the one that I'm thinking of here. So there's Next Gen Guitars, which is in Canada, and I think they normally sell like speakers, replacement speakers, and all that kind of stuff. But they also sell like amplifier parts, cabinet and case parts, wire and cable. And I believe if you go under their wire and cable section, they have guitar and speaker cable and wire. So if you go there, you should be able to find some. Let me just put the link in the comment section here for you guys. Okay, give me a sec here. This is my source, one of the sources that I like to use because they are in Canada, but it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of it if you're in the US, unless of course Trump activates the tariffs, in which case you'll probably be forced to pay 25% more. But for now, it's one of the sources. I can share the screen. Let me see here. Can you guys see that on my screen? I hope you can. Last time I was sharing some stuff and you weren't able to see it. So this is it. And here you do have some cable. So here they have 20 gauge wire here for, I think it's 71 cents a foot. 20 gauge instrument cable wire for 89 cents a foot. And so on and so forth. So you can look throughout this website and just choose what you feel works for you. I hope that's helpful. Good question. Okay, let me just go through some more just to make sure there's no other questions right off the bat here, and then we'll get into the finer details of the show and other conversations. Okay, I don't see any questions up front except Vox Guitar says, does anyone know of an app that would transpose sheet music to tab? Just wondering. Sheet music to tab. I don't think that exists. I don't think that exists, but I don't know if you guys are aware, and this is something I can share with you guys as well. there's a little known website that I think a lot of people still don't know about. It's called Songster. So it's SONGSTERR.com. It's a great source. I'm going to share this with you because why not? You guys are awesome. Songster.com. For me, it's one of the greatest sites if you want to learn how to play songs and you want to have access to music. I'll share this with you for a second here, okay? Let me just pop this on my screen if I could do it. So this is Songster. So the cool thing about Songster is that you can search whatever songs you want to search here. Over 1 million tabs. Okay, it's not free, you got to subscribe to it. But the cool thing about this is, let's say you want to learn how to play, I'll just grab something here out of the blue, like Crazy Train. So here you go, you have the song in all its tab, right here. You have the ability to go in here and select which instrument you want to see as a tab. So for example, we have distorted guitar here. Then we have a second distorted guitar, right? These are the overdubs. So if you click on that, you don't see much. You just see a couple of little slides here and a couple of things. Then if you go further down and you do the solo harmony part, then you will start seeing the solo harmony part on its own. The cool thing about this, and I won't do it because I'll probably be demonetized, but you can actually play the music. It plays the music, the actual music. It's not a MIDI file. So you can follow along. When you do play the music, it actually highlights. Actually, let me try. Can I mute this? Well, let me see if I can show you what I mean. So like I'll go back to the beginning here and we'll do the beginning part here. We'll do the distorted guitar at the beginning. I'll make it play, but I'll mute the sound so you can't hear it. It's going to be muted, okay? And if I just play it, you'll see, hopefully. Will it work here? Let me just see here. Well, it's gonna play, but anyways, you can't really see it because it's muted. But anyway, when you do play it, it highlights the music as it goes down the list and plays it. So you know exactly where you are. You can actually slow down the speed here as it's playing to like 50%, 25%, or 15%. And you can actually loop a section of it. So let's say you want to learn how to play this song and you find this part challenging. You can actually highlight this part, loop it, so it just plays this part over and over again. And it actually plays it at whatever speed you want. And when it does slow down the speed, it doesn't slow down the pitch. And then you can even print the music here. So it's way better than some of the other places that offer tabs. It's way better, in my opinion. It's not free, but it's worth it, especially if you're learning how to play music. So a lot of people don't know about this website. I don't know why that is. It's one of my favorites. All right, so that was that. So let's say hi to the boys. I'm going to start from the bottom here. Rico is here. Eddie is here. Paul is here. Paul says new guitar. NG are good. NG are a good company. Okay, so you're talking about the site I was showing. All their stuff is brand name, or if cheap, the same quality. I bought a Celestion speaker from them and got the best price. Me too. I bought a few speakers from them and I was always satisfied with the service. I got it extremely quickly in the mail. No issues, great customer service, and I recommend them. That's why I'm talking about them here. So we have Steven here in the house. Shane says, I like the Mustang. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but I'll find out as I scroll down. Stuart R says, he has a question. He says, building a starter pack for a 9-year-old. Best beginner guitar, Squier, Mustang, or maybe harder. Best starter amp. Okay, well, most of the time when people are selecting a guitar or an amplifier for a young person, Generally, they don't have an unlimited budget, so I'm pretty sensitive to price when I give advice like what to choose. For guitars, a lot of people do go with the Squires because they are a good value for the money. I think they are. Um, as I say often, I would just maybe stay away from the Affinity line. They tend to be a little bit too cheap. If you want to get something that will last a little longer, classic vibes are usually pretty good in terms of the Squire line. But I wouldn't necessarily limit yourself just to Squires. Other companies make great starter guitars as well. Ibanez has some great guitars to choose from. And I strongly recommend looking on the used market because you can get a Squire brand new and not spend so much money. But if you're not necessarily stuck on a brand new guitar, you can get a lot of used guitars that still would be awesome. They might have a few miles on them, but you can still get them for sometimes the same price as you would pay for a Squire, and you can ultimately get maybe a little bit of a better guitar that would hold its resale value. As far as amplifiers, for a new player, like a 9-year-old, I would maybe not recommend a tube amplifier. I mean, I love tube amplifiers. I think they're great, but you know, a lot of 9-year-olds don't necessarily take good care of their stuff. And if you're dealing with a tube amplifier, and you might have issues with the tubes and have to change them out and stuff, it gets very expensive really quick, especially since the price of tubes has shot up. So, you know, if you're going to have to change tubes in an amp for a 9-year-old, it's going to be very expensive. So I would maybe recommend something else as a starter. Maybe like the Katanas are great. I think there's a lot of great inexpensive Katanas floating around on the used market. And what's good about those amps is that they're all transistors, so they technically don't fail that often. They have everything built into them. They have a nice selection of effects and whatnot. So, you know, even if they don't have any pedals or anything like that, they can still fool around with some nice effects. Because generally, you know, 9-year-olds don't have that much money to start buying pedals and whatnot. And it's kind of boring to play a guitar, you know, with no effects straight into an amplifier when you're a 9-year-old. You probably want to have some kind of overdrive or distortion to play with, and you know, those amps are a good choice, I would say. And there's more and more coming out. I know that right now I did see that I believe it's Boss that they released a mini amp like it's the Mini Katana, I believe, they released recently. So it's like a tabletop version of the Katana. It's like 150 bucks, brand new, very small. You can take it with you. It's portable. You know, is it the best long term? Probably not, but it's a good starting point, I would say. Rexomatic says he's waiting for a Bose S1 Pro Plus to arrive from Sweetwater. Black Friday sale that included mic transmitter. Planned to use next weekend with Voice Live 3 Extreme. Cool, dude. It's good to hear that somebody's actually taken advantage or has taken advantage of the Black Friday deals. I didn't hear that many other people saying that they picked up anything substantial over the Black Friday hoopla. Anybody else purchase anything that they'd like to share with the rest of us here? I gotta say, I'm the same. I didn't really purchase anything substantial over the Black Friday holidays. The only thing I did buy, I'm actually using them today. They're in-ear monitors. I usually have my big headphones on, so I decided to go with in-ears. I just wanted to get a set that would be less cumbersome. And these I picked up on Amazon. So I'll show you. This is the box. It's a little hard to see. I don't know if you can see that there. But basically, it's the ZS10 Pros. They're awesome. I really like them. And I've been meaning to get a set of in-ear monitors for a long time. Never got around to it. Um, my ears are quite picky in the sense that they kind of not all in-ear monitors or in-ear headphones and stuff agree with me. I find a lot of them uncomfortable, but the over-ear headphones I was using and playing music through are not really designed for that, and I don't want to blow the drivers on them. They're also not necessarily flat. They do accentuate the over-ear headphones I had accentuate the lows. And if you're trying to dial in a sound through, let's say, something like a fractal, where you want to get a good representation of what you're going to be hearing when you play it in another room, I found that a lot of my sounds had boosted or bass that wasn't accurate, because the other headphones actually boost the bass quite a bit. So hopefully I'll get a better representation with these, and it'll be more fun to play in a live scenario as well. J. Paul says, I have two katanas loaded with V30s, Redback and DV77s. Only weak spot on the katana is the non-Waza model speakers. Yeah, I know there's I don't know that many people that have actually swapped out the speakers in the katana like you did, J. Paul. I think a lot of people just live what comes with them, because maybe they feel like it would be just overkill, for a katana, because if you buy a couple of good speakers to throw in there, it's, almost the cost of the price of the katana to start off with. But I'm sure you can squeeze in better quality sound out of them if you take the opportunity to upgrade the speakers like you did. Paul says he got a Friedman IRD Pre for about $200 off the Canadian price from a Calgary store on Friday. Nice, man. Very cool. How do you like the Friedman, the little unit? They're quite popular. A lot of people do like them. And I know that Friedman is pushing them pretty hard. I see a lot of ads for those units. I don't know if they make more profit on those units than they do on the amplifiers they sell. I'm not really sure. I don't know how much it would end up costing them, but they're quite versatile little units. So Eddie says, I spent $500 on something Wednesday, and then the store had a really good Black Friday deal. I'm a freaking idiot. Well, what did you buy, Eddie? First, let us know what you bought. We'll decide whether or not you're an idiot or not. I'm surprised that the store wouldn't give you your discount, considering you bought it one day early. Sometimes they will, they will respect the discount even if you bought it a day earlier. Just go to them and maybe ask. A lot of them will. Wayne says, yes, but we love your honesty, Eddie. We do love your honesty. So I'm just scrolling back a little bit here. And by the way, guys, there is a poll question out today. Please take a second to go vote. Doesn't take long, and it's a simple one today. We'll talk about that in a minute. I believe Shane had a follow-up question on the poll that I happened to see as I was looking at it earlier, and I believe, Shane, you were asking, what was your question again, Shane? It was something about what wood is the easiest to do a refret on, I think. Is that the question that you had, Shane? I think it was. I'm just going off memory here. I'm going to try to answer that question. That's a good question, by the way. First of all, I want to ask Shane, are you planning on doing a refret? Is that why you're asking that question? Refrets are expensive, by the way, guys. If anyone has had to do a refret on any of the guitars that you own and you bring it to a luthier or something, they're pretty expensive. I think you can probably expect to pay, I'm gonna say like $200 to $300 for a refret. So it's not a fun thing to have done. I don't know if Shane's still in the house or not. Shane, are you still here? I think he is. Let me try and answer that question for Shane. Oh, there he is. So Shane says, I think my Ebony V might need a refret someday. Okay, so it's not urgent. It's not like a right this minute. Okay, so let me try and answer that question for you guys. And it's a good question because a lot of people might not realize that different wood types will facilitate the process of changing the frets, because when you have to do a refret, basically you got to pull out all of the old frets and put in new ones. So it's basically, it involves not only installing new frets, seating them, but then you have to go through the whole process of crowning them. You have to level them. It takes a long time. This is why it's very expensive. It's not a quick thing. And a lot of times people will take the opportunity to change their frets and maybe put in frets that are bigger or smaller, or maybe stainless steel frets as opposed to regular frets while they're at it, so that they can actually get more life and use out of their frets if they're stainless. By the way, these frets on the Sur are stainless. Just as a by the way, they're still almost brand new, so I can still play this guitar quite a bit. So going back to Shane's question, I think the easiest, in my opinion, through my experience, is rosewood. Is pretty easy because it's relatively soft as a wood, and it does have a natural oil to it. So it does make it a little less prone to splintering as you remove the frets. Again, it all depends on how you do it. Some people like to heat up the frets before pulling them out, but typically I think it's a little easier. But it does require care when you're pulling them out because it's easier to scratch the fretboard, and you don't want to make more damage than than what you're doing in terms of making the guitar better. Second, I'm gonna say probably ebony. I know somebody said ebony's a pain to do, but the thing with ebony is that it's quite dense and it's actually very smooth. So it maintains its integrity during the refret process, I think. And generally, I think you can minimize the chipping with ebony. And in my experience, ebony is harder than rosewood. And what it boils down to is, I think, if you're inexperienced, it might cause a little bit more problems with when you're working with ebony. And then last but not least, I'm going to say maple, because maple is it's pretty hard, it's pretty smooth. So generally maple is pretty straightforward when you're doing a refret. The only thing you have to be careful with when you're doing maple is often maple necks tend to be lacquered. So it's easy to damage the lacquer when you're doing a refret. Sometimes when you're doing a refret on a maple neck, you actually have to refinish the neck because some of the lacquer will come off, depending on how old it is, how brittle it is, and what kind of lacquer is being used or what kind of finish is being used. So that's a good question. Hopefully your refret will go well once you do that, Shane, eventually. But typically it doesn't I mean, you can usually get quite a bit of mileage on a guitar before you have to do a refret. Unless you buy a vintage instrument, which is already kind of like down to the fretboard. Robert says, hey, your Sir shipped from a couple of miles down the road here. Is that where the Sir factory is located, Rob? You're down the street from the Sir factory? That's cool, dude. Have you ever been? Do they do factory tours down there? That would be a cool place to visit. I'd love to go visit the guys down at Sir. Vox has a good point. He says, wouldn't it be less expensive just to swap for a new neck on a bolt-on guitar, of course? Yeah, if the guitar that you're talking about is not an expensive guitar, you know, if the guitar is, I'm going to say, sub $300 or around $300, you're probably better off just changing the neck. Because, you know, it's going to probably cost more than the guitar's worth to get a refret on it. Mullet Train has a great point. He says, I think by the time someone is willing to pay for a refret, they really want to keep the original neck. And that is a good point. If you really like the feel of a guitar, you don't necessarily want to change the neck. Great conversation there. Good question, Shane. I appreciate it, man. Mullet Train says re-leveling the frets instead of a full refret is a good compromise if you don't mind short height frets. Yeah, like we see on a lot of the older Les Pauls. A lot of old Les Pauls that I see and I play, if I grab one from somebody, I'll notice that the frets are kind of like very, very low because they haven't ever paid for a refret. But they still generally play quite well. So that's cool. What do we have next on our subject that we want to talk about here? Oh, I wanted to mention, any Deep Purple fans in the house? Anybody here still into Deep Purple? Raise your hand. I like Deep Purple. They've always been one of the, I'm going to say, the key rock star bands. As in my youth when I was growing up, it was always, you know, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, you know, Van Halen, all these bands. I would say that many times, however, Deep Purple wasn't necessarily the number 1, 2, or 3. Everybody would kind of select another band before mentioning Deep Purple. But they were always quite steady and would appear in that list. So if you are a Deep Purple fan, good news, there's going to be a documentary released soon. It's going to be on Netflix, they say. I came across this information recently. And so they're going to be releasing a documentary. It's called The Deep Purple Story. It's going to be called Smoke on the Water. I don't know who got paid to think of that title. Some marketing guy made a lot of money. Like, I got it. We'll call it Smoke on the Water. That's a great title. So they're going to be releasing this documentary. It's going to be coming out in March, so not a couple months down the road. And it's going to be, of course, an exploration of Deep Purple's 5 decades of rock and roll. Apparently, they're going to put in some never-before-seen footage. They always say that whenever they announce a documentary, by the way. Rare interviews, of course, and exclusive behind-the-scenes moments. So that should be interesting. I think it's going to be from the very beginning, 1960s to the rise of fame, impact of the iconic tracks like Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, Child in Time, and they're going to be probably talking to the members of the band, including Richie Blackmore, of course, who's probably still going to be pissed. He's always pissed about something, Richie. And then, of course, all the other band members in the group. Should be interesting. I look forward to it. Eddie says, I've always wanted to sit down and learn Highway Star. Yeah, me too. Never did. I should put that on my list, my hit list. I did learn, of course, Smoke on the Water. That's typically the first song that anybody learns when we're talking about Deep Purple. Of course, the most challenging part of that song is the solo. And I don't always see people taking the time to learn the solo of that song. As a matter of fact, I've rarely seen Ritchie Blackmore play that solo, even live. At one point, I was trying to learn the solo, so I was scouring the internet to try and see, to get some, visuals to see how Ritchie plays the solo. And what I noticed is that, first of all, he rarely plays the solo, and when he does play the solo, he doesn't play it like the album. He always plays some other version of it. So it's interesting to see that maybe it was challenging for him too. I don't know. And I gotta say, one of my favorite songs, and they have so many great songs, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff on the Deep Purple hit list. But I still like the songs like Lazy is one of my favorites. It doesn't usually pop up in the top 5. A lot of times when you talk about Deep Purple, people will always name the same songs. Like Smoke on the Water, of course. That came out on Machine Head, I believe, 1970s. Smoke on the Water is legendary. We all know the story about the place burning down in Switzerland. When they were playing there, some guy shot off a flare gun and caused the place to burn down. Frank Zappa was there. It's all in the lyrics. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's all there. So that's the number 1 usually on the list. Then, of course, there's Highway Star, the iconic energy-driven song with the beautiful high-pitched vocals at the beginning. Ian Gillan always had very powerful vocals, but it's really showcased in that song. And, of course, the awesome solo. So that's usually in there. Child in Time, it's a little bit slower, a little bit more haunting, more emotional. Beautiful build-up in that song. Epic guitar solo as well as usual. That's usually in the list. Hush is another one. And Perfect Strangers later on. I think that was in the 80s it came out. I still remember. I think I was still in the high school when that came out. Had a little bit of a spooky beginning to that song, and it became quite popular. But I still love the song Lazy, and if you guys don't listen to it or don't know it, just give it a listen. It's great guitar in that song, great keyboards as well, of course, and the build up and everything. Typical Deep Purple. Rexomatic says, what guitars in your collection haven't you played in a while, even though you really like them? I'm surprised how long some of my guitars end up sitting in the cases. Tend to play ones that are out. I'm the same, Rexomatic. Great question, by the way. I'm going to think about it for a second. What guitars haven't I played in a while? I usually try to do the round robin quite frequently. I haven't played this one in a while. This is a perfect example. This is usually in my rack behind me, and I haven't taken it out in a while, and this is why I took it out today. Sorry if you can't see the guitar. I'm a little bit low here today. I gotta actually, maybe if I just dropped my pick. It's always something. I don't usually play this guitar that often, or often enough, but it's a great guitar. One of my favorite necks, as I always say. And I should play it more. The ones I don't play that often, I would say I don't play this one often enough. Should definitely play more. A lot of the Gibson Les Pauls that I have, I don't play that often. I'll usually end up playing the Tokais more than the Les Pauls. I've been on a binge with my SGs lately, and I haven't been playing my Strats that much. Most of my strats have been in the cases for a while. I should be playing more of those. Jean-Pierre has an interesting tidbit of information. Hey, GP, how are you? He says, you know the bridge of A Day in the Life is copied from the song Hush from Deep Purple. Is it? A Day in the Life? Really? I gotta listen to that. I didn't know. I mean, just the bridge? Well, I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna listen to them back to back, and I did not know that. Very interesting piece of information there. So for those of you that are Beatles fans and Deep Purple fans, that's interesting to note. Eddie says, I can hear the change in tone from different pick. Yes, indeed, Eddie. Absolutely. You caught that. Yes, I dropped the one I dropped. So the one I played second was this one, which is much, much brighter. This is an Ernie Ball Prodigy 2mm pick. So that's the second one. And it was definitely more attack and brighter. The one that I dropped, and where did it go now? Man, there's nothing worse than dropping a pick. I'm telling you guys. Here, it's right here. Let me grab that pick. Man, I wish somebody would think of a better system so that you can avoid dropping picks. So the one I played first is this one. This guy. Can you see that? Probably not. This is the Herco picks. These are the picks that the nylon pick made in the USA. And, you know, Eddie Van Halen used to love playing these picks. A lot of people used to play these picks back in the day. Very different pick. Look at this. This, I can bend it, you know. Here. Then listen to this one. Very different sound. So if anybody argues with you and tells you that a pick doesn't make a difference, they're full of beans, because it definitely makes a difference. And I'm playing through a modular. Imagine if you're playing straight into an amplifier. So JP says it's the melody part of the na 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 part. All right. I'll listen to it, man. Thanks for that. I love this kind of stuff. I love this kind of information. I'm a geek when it comes to things like that. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about, because it's all over the internet, and I did have my own thoughts on it. So apparently, recently, Gibson is in the news again, because they mentioned earlier this week, that there was a whole bunch of Gibson guitars that were basically fake guitars, and they were stopped at the border. They seized I don't know how many guitars, and they were all fake. So I don't know how much of this thing is actually accurate, because all of the stuff that I've seen, and even if we look at the article on Guitar World, for example, I'll put that on the screen so you guys can see it, okay? because I'm calling bullshit on this. And we can discuss. So if we look at the stuff that they say online, so here we have the article in question. So the article in question says, this is really emotional and personal for us. $18 million of fake Gibson guitars seized by the U.S. Border Protection officers, in the biggest counterfeit instrument bust on record. Okay, so they're saying $18 million of fake Gibsons. How could that be? Now, I'm not a genius at math. Far from it. But if I do the math and I take 18 million divided by 3,000, I believe that comes up to about $6,000 per guitar. I don't know when the last time anyone here bought a fake Gibson, but they don't cost $6,000. They cost maybe $300. So I'm pretty sure they're blowing this out of proportion, because I don't understand how they came up with that number. They say they announced the largest counterfeit instrument bust on record, confirming it recently seized over 300 fake Gibson guitars that had they been genuine, would have carried a total MSRP of more than $18 million. Why would they say something like that? That makes no sense. Had they been real. But they're not real. So we're talking a lot less money here, guys. I don't know. It's like they're trying to hype up stuff just to make headlines. Doesn't make sense. Look, I'm going to just do something real quick here. What is it? Give me a sec. If you take, the amount of guitars that they're talking about, how much would it actually be? If we take 3,000 guitars, is that what they said? Times what, $300 roughly? You're looking at a total of $900,000, less than $1 million, right? I don't know, man. To me, it seems like a lot of hype, smoke and mirrors, and I still think that the reason why a lot of these people buy these used Gibsons, these fake Gibsons, is because they can't afford the real thing. Now, if they're saying that an average Gibson costs $6,000 and the entire lot is worth $18 million, it basically means that people can't afford your guitars anymore. That's what it boils down to, So it's a shame that people resort to stuff like that they have to buy the used stuff. So they're doing some fancy calculating there over at Gibson. I don't think that's accurate, and I think that they should lower their prices. I think they're kind of stimulating the counterfeit market by just being too greedy. They should have something a little less expensive. That's just me. That's my opinion. David says they were not just Gibsons at the bust. There were also some fake Gretsch guitars. Chet Atkins special. Also not surprising that they inflate the value of the guitars to seek a stiffer penalty. It's not going to stop the influx of fake guitars. Far from it. You really can't do anything if a company is located in China. There's not much you can do. The only person that really, people that really suffer are the people that purchase the stuff. So if people ordered a guitar from China and are expecting to get it for Christmas, well, you're not going to get it anymore. You're out of luck. You're taking the chance, basically, and you're going to be the one who's going to be basically out of luck. They're just going to continue shipping wherever they can. there's always a market, and you close down one place, you open another. And to be honest with you, you can't really close down these places because most of the places that make these guitars are making other guitars that are legit. So I don't think they're going to get closed down. Vox says you can pick up a fake Dragon caster for like $250. Not sure why you would want to, but hey, a lot of people will are looking for the Eddie EVH guitars and the Dragon casters and whatever guitars they can get. And don't get me wrong, guys, when you buy these guitars, they're always a facsimile of the real thing. Do I have anything here? I'm gonna grab one for you guys. I do have a fake a Gibson. I'm gonna show you one. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna go get it. Talk amongst yourselves, just for a quick second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm gonna show you something. Give me a sec. All right, sorry guys. Thank you for your patience. Put these back in here. So a lot of you, question the quality that you can get on these guitars. And this is not something that I'm condoning by any means. You guys are adults. You can decide what to do on your own. However, just tune this up here. Hasn't been played in a while. Let me just tune this up. Yeah, out of tune. It's been in the case for a while. So a lot of you might consider getting something that is not a legit Gibson. I would say take that with a big caution because they're not all made the same. You can get garbage, and most of the time they are garbage. I don't usually buy Gibsons that are not real. This I actually ended up getting locally. This I did not buy overseas. Somebody local was selling one, so I can actually see it and play it before I actually bought it. This guitar plays really nice. It has a very nice playability to it, built really. So if you compare this to another guitar, and I don't show you what it is, you probably wouldn't be able to pick it out. The pickups on this guitar are slash pickups, real ones. Now, I don't have another Gibson right here lying around to compare it to offhand. So that's that. Great playing guitar. Feels great. And I liked it. So I bought it. You know, I took a chance, and this one is definitely one of the better ones. I played a lot of garbage ones that I would not recommend to anyone. This is why I would not buy anything without being able to see it first. This one I was, so it was a calculated thing. Do I recommend it? Nope. Can you still get some very decent guitars? Yes. This is the flame on this guitar. I mean, you know, it looks decent. I like it. You know, it's one of those things. If I compare this to, I don't have another Gibson here. Let me grab another Gibson and I'll show you the difference in terms of sound. But mind you, most of the difference in sound is the pickups. It's not necessarily the guitar. But the feel on this guitar is really nice. David said Gibsons are made by the same people Gibson pays to make Epiphones. It's all a big scam. There's been a lot of hearsay on that. A lot of people do have that conspiracy theory saying it's the same companies. I mean, they have to be established. They're making a lot of guitars. I'm not sure I can say that's true, though. But I've heard that many times. Shane says join the Gibson Facebook groups and they'll guide you to the good sellers. That's actually true. There are dedicated Facebook groups that will share quite openly, actually, the sellers that will be able to get you better quality guitars. Because at the end of the day, you don't know who you're buying from. And a lot of them could be garbage. Some of the sellers, you might pay a little bit more, but you're able to get something decent out of it. But once again, I think it all boils down to the fact that, you know, people do like the Gibson style guitars. And, you know, I would say if you like Gibson style guitars, and you do want to get a guitar that is playable and you're not going to regret buying, you can afford Gibson, go with Epiphone. Mind you, even the Epiphones are like $1,000 minimum nowadays. So some people still can't afford that, you know. It's unfortunate. But that's the reality of it. You know, it's like it's just getting harder and harder to get some decent quality stuff. I want to put this one down. Give me a sec. I'm just going to grab another guitar. Again, it's all up to you guys, but I wouldn't condone buying anything that's not legit. And if you want to get something cheaper, you can always shop around the used market. I don't even have the guitar I wanted to show you guys. Anyways, here, I'll show you this one instead. You guys were asking me which guitars don't usually get a lot of playtime. This one is one of them. Not because it's not a good guitar. I think it's a very good guitar. And this is a great example, by the way, that there are alternatives to the big G out there. You know, you don't have to go buy a counterfeit. You can just get a decent guitar like this one that is very close to the big G guitars. I don't know if this is tuned. Kind of tuned. All right, so this is a guitar that I don't play that often, but it's a vintage 335. So if you guys, you know, for example, if you guys like 335 style guitars, can't afford $4,000, get one of these. They're still floating around there in the used market. Not tuned, sorry guys. Gotta tune this up. It's been like in the case. Ooh, it's off quite a bit. Now the fact that the temperature is changing here doesn't help with the tuning. There we go. Much better. Alrighty. So this is a different sound because it is semi-hollow, but it's a great guitar and I recommend these all day long if you can still get them. This is an older one and I bought this one before I bought my 335 way back when, and ended up not regretting it, and I kept it even after I got my Gibsons. I figured, you know what, I'll eventually sell this one, but every time I pick it up and play it, I'm like, why would I want to sell it? It's a decent guitar. It plays so well. I think it plays way better than what I paid for it. And I think now the fact that they don't really make this style anymore, the new ones are slightly different. They actually have an offset now on the horns, and I think that's more for like patent reasons or copyright reasons. I like this better than the newer ones. And the newer ones, I don't know how much the new models go for on this. I think they're still being sold. Let me do a quick search on the internet. See if I can find one of these models or the more recent version. I'll go to the website and see if they have it. And if they do, I'm curious to see how much they would cost. This is the website here. We'll go to electric and we'll go to, what are these called now? I don't even remember. These are the new ones, I think. I think this is the so they did okay, yeah. See there, these are the reissues. They call them reissues now because they're old. But you can see that if you look at the guitar carefully, it's a little hard to tell from the pictures, but the horns on this model now, the VSA 500, they're not the same height on either side. I don't like that as much. They're not as nice. But they're called them reissues because the original ones that's the one I have. You know, one piece mahogany, classic vintage soft C profile, 12-inch radius, yada yada. They don't have a price on here. Let me see how much these go for today. So let me just see if I can. Let me see if I can find the price on this guy first. Give me a second here. Okay, on Reverb, I can see a price on Reverb about $769. That seems like a lot though. Seems like a lot. $700. Still a good deal though, in my opinion. You could probably get them for less if you shop around. Blue Mountain Guitar has them for $699 US. And the reissued ones on Amazon, you can get them for $577.99 US in stock. So, you know, for about $500, not a bad deal. I think there's still good value on these guitars. You can see it here on the Amazon website here. I'm just wondering if I can buy one today. Can you still buy these? There's no reviews on this guitar, which is weird. Okay, anyways, they're still out there, guys. They're still floating out there, and I think they're great. If you end up buying an Epiphone, you probably will end up paying more. But these guitars, you can be had all day long on the used market. So don't be shy to look around. Just going through the comments here just to see what I missed while I was talking and yapping back there. If you have any questions that I missed along the way, guys, just repost your question and I'll answer it. Dan Smith says, just never understood why they need to be marked with the Gibson logo. I could buy a cheap Kramer or Yamaha and mod it to sound as good as an equivalent Superstrat. Yeah, indeed you can. All right, I'm just scrolling, guys. Scrolling some more. If you guys have questions, please ask. I'm going to jump to the next topic in the list here. One of the things that I mentioned on last week's show was that Wampler was teasing a new pedal release for Black Friday. I don't know if you guys remember that. If you do, I was right because I saw that they dropped a new pedal. Seems really cool. It's called the Wampler Rewired. I don't know if it's on their website yet. It looks like it's a really cool pedal. I believe it's probably made in conjunction with Brent Mason. I believe Wampler does have quite a connection with Brent Mason. They've done quite a few pedals for him. So I guess they like, the partnership seems to be going well, because this is another one. And it's an interesting pedal. I'll put it on the screen. I love Wampler stuff, by the way, guys. I've never been disappointed by their stuff. So the rewired pedal is basically, I think, a 2-in-1. You have overdrive and distortion in this pedal. And there's videos out for it, and I listened to it. It does sound good. I don't know how much. Oh, there it is, $237.99. Now, it seems like a lot of money, but to be honest with you, not that bad. Most of the Wampler stuff, like the regular one pedal, like 1-in-1, are about $200, $190, $180, at least here in Canada. So paying a little over $200 for this one when you're basically getting two pedals in one doesn't seem too bad. It might be something that I'll check out eventually. I'm not really looking for this type of pedal at the moment, but never say never. The pedal I did want to buy, and I mentioned last week, was the fuzz bender pedal from Behringer. That was announced. I wanted to wait till Black Friday to see if it would go on sale. It didn't. I thought it might. I figured, you know what, I'll take a chance. I'll just wait. Didn't. So I wanted to pull the trigger on it. And just yesterday, I wanted to actually order one. And I went onto the website, one of the local guitar stores here on their website that carry it. And I tried to order it. And all I could do was pre-order it. I was actually told that it would not be available till March, I believe. So it's not going to come out anytime soon. February, I'm going to say end of February, beginning of March. So I don't necessarily want to pre-order it now. What's the point? I might as well wait till it's out. And the cool thing is that while looking, at this stuff, I also stumbled on another video from the same company, Behringer, and they announced a mini clone. So I don't know what's up with these guys at Behringer, because before they were putting out their own pedals, and they would sound just like the pedals that they're cloning, but they wouldn't necessarily make a direct clone of it. Now with the fuzz bender, they're using the same shape enclosure. They're telling you that it's kind of an homage to the original. Obviously it's not an original anymore, because they don't make them anymore. They're vintage, so it's basically a copy. But the clone of the clone is kind of like in your face, because it's like the enclosure is the same, much smaller, which I think makes sense. Why do you want such a big pedal anyways? They're making a smaller version of it, and they've announced it on YouTube. Does it sound like a clone? Probably not. Is it close? Maybe. But it's really cheap. And I think it's going to sell like hotcakes just because of the way it looks, So I thought that was interesting, and I'm curious to check it out for myself and see how it sounds. I'll probably order one. But I don't remember if that enclosure was plastic or metal. Let me check if I can find it. And it's supposed to be only $69, guys, which is pretty cheap. So I see the picture of it. I don't know if they're gonna specifically say that it's made of metal. It's the gold box, but they don't say if it's plastic. I have a feeling it may be plastic. Not sure. But they do have the soft clipping germanium diodes as opposed to the hard clipping circuit of the original, they say. So it's not going to be exactly the same sound, but it's probably going to give you a ballpark. Um, but they don't mention whether or not it's a metal enclosure. Who knows? We'll find out. It looks plasticky, but it's hard to tell from like the video. If it is metal, I'm in. I'm in. I'll spend the $70 and get one just for giggles, just because it looks cute. So Paul says, Tony, the vintage brand is designed by Trev Wilkinson. He even goes to the factories and works with them to get the quality nailed. They've always had a good reputation, Paul, in my book. The ones that I've tried, they seem pretty like all legit, solid guitars. And the price is reasonable. So, why wouldn't I recommend a guitar like that, in my opinion? Mullet Train says, great deals on Best Buy on Epiphone Les Paul specials. $179 from $249. I don't... just to be fair, Mullet Train, I have tried the Les Paul specials and I was not impressed by them. So based on my experience, I don't necessarily want to recommend them. Perhaps they've gotten better over time. Maybe I just got a lemon, but I wasn't impressed, unfortunately. Eddie says, my next purchase is probably going to be a high-end PRS. I'm saving my pennies. So how high-end are you talking, Eddie? Because there's high-end and then there's high-end when it comes to PRS guitars. Some guitars are like unobtainable. They're like so expensive that I couldn't. They'd probably cost more than my very own, my car, my truck. I can't justify that. Vox says the Behringer old fuzz pedal sounds fantastic. A lot of people do rave about that one. I don't own it, but a lot of people do say it's great for what it is. It does have the plastic enclosure, and for me, it's the plastic enclosure that's a deal breaker. I can't get my mind around having a plastic enclosure, although I do have the Behringer, the copy that they made of the Tube Screamer, which is basically the same as a Tube Screamer, also in the plastic enclosure, and it hasn't died on me yet. So even though the enclosures are plastic, they're quite durable. It's just people associate plastic with being cheap. Acid Priest TV says, have you tried the Agile AL 3200? Really great guitars for a great price. No, I haven't. I haven't tried it. Never once have I tried an Agile guitar. Let me see here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Rondo Music sells Agile guitars. I think I did at one point purchase an Agile Strat copy. Basically, I just bought it for like just a guitar to have as a kick around guitar. But that was a long time ago. I almost forgot I actually bought that guitar. But I can see that they do have the Les Paul style guitars as well. They look nice. They're not bad. I like what they're doing with the headstock. The fact that they do have the carved heel. And even the headstock looks nice. Interesting. Yeah, nice guitar. I can see it on their website. They dropped the price from $5.99 to $4.99 now. It's a good alternative. Very cool. Thank you for that tip. Sometimes we forget, guys. There's like great guitars right under our noses and we don't think about it. Because we always, are inundated with advertising for the big F, the big G, the big brands out there. But there are other choices. And speaking of the big G, they did also announce recently that they're releasing a new cutaway. Did you guys see this? I didn't understand why. I've never tried one of these, but they're doing a re-release, 3 new versions of the Hummingbird acoustic guitar. Now, I'm a fan of Hummingbird just because I like the look of it. This is why I bought the Epiphone Hummingbird. I couldn't afford 5Gs for the real thing, if you want to call it that. But they're actually releasing 3 new models. So they have the Hummingbird Studio, the EC, the standard EC, and the standard Rosewood EC models. Very nice looking guitars, guys. I just love the look of these guitars. I don't know what it is. Here, I'll show you a little preview of that. There you go. So that's what they look like. I think they're sexy looking guitars, man. I always liked these Hummingbirds. Now they do have the cutaway, which is not typical for a Hummingbird, but overall they look stunning. Now I'm pretty sure they're going to be expensive. I think the regular Hummingbird is $5,000. I'm pretty sure these are probably going to be around the same price. I don't think they mention it here. No, they don't mention it. But they're coming. They're coming. Get used to it, because they're not going to stop releasing new models, teasing us with new stuff. Purdy. Yeah, they are purdy. I think, I don't know if I'd be able to afford one of these acoustics. They're teasing me so badly with them, but what are you going to do? You got to be strong, guys. Got to be strong. Beyond the new acoustic guitars, I think Gibson is still releasing some additional models, and there's a steady influx of new Gibson models that are coming out every day. I don't know if any of you are enticed by any of those or not, but I don't think they're going to stop. I think it's just going to be the same. They're releasing them so frequently that you can't really... you can't focus on one because you're thinking about buying one. They come out with another one and then you're distracted from your previous thought. You know, it's like overkill. Give us some time to digest what's already out there, guys. It's like, here's another one. Here's another one. And we were talking about fake Gibsons before. I'm more concerned with other fake stuff being out there floating around in the market. There's a lot of news, a lot of people talking about the fact that there's a lot of fake, like even guitar strings are being faked today. And I'm a little concerned. Sometimes you end up buying stuff on Amazon. You get a deal on, a 3-pack, or 6-pack, a 10-pack or whatever. But are you sure those strings are authentic? Like, I'm surprised to even hear that they're taking the time to fake things like that, like strings. So you don't even know what you're getting. You're trying to find a deal and you're being taken advantage of by a seller. So I think you have to be super vigilant today and buy your stuff directly from the source. If you don't want to be taken advantage of, there's just so much, so many scams going around. It's incredible. Mullet Train says, as wealthy boomer collectors age out of the hobby, there's going to be an avalanche of barely played used guitars coming onto the market in the next 10 years. That is kind of that is true if you think about it. A lot of people that just get out of playing, don't feel like they're playing, and have a nice collection of guitars, like someone like me, for example. Eventually all the guitars that I have are either going to go to my kids or they're going to be sold, and yeah, there'll probably be a lot of guitars floating around on the market. Does that mean better prices? I don't know, because the prices keep going up, right? So even though they're being sold, by the time they do end up on the market 10 years from now, they're still probably going to be quite expensive. So I don't know if that means we're going to get some deals or not. Not really sure. Ian Guitar Shack says eBay is known to sell fakes of lots of things. Absolutely. I mean, You got to be really, really careful on eBay. Like, I wouldn't recommend buying pickups on eBay. There's so many fake pickups floating around on eBay. It's incredible. I'm a big fan of these the Gibson the 59 classics. Any of the classics, actually. You know, even some of the Dunlop, not the Dunlop, the Seymour Duncan pickups. They're faking everything. The 57 classics usually are some that I see on the market on eBay. You can buy fake 57 classics on some of the Chinese websites. They're like down to the T copies. You know, the bobbin is the same, the enclosure is the same, the sticker in the back of it's the same, and they'll sell a set for like $50. And you know, a lot of times people will take that and turn it around and sell it on eBay for like $300 or $250, and make $150 profit on fake pickups that people will probably not realize are fakes. You know, they'll put them on in their guitars and they're like, you know what? I'm not a fan of these 57 classics. That's because they're not real 57 classics. They don't sound like the real ones do, you know? It's sad. And you got to be really careful. Really careful. I've seen fake Slash pickups, which tend to sell for quite a bit of money on eBay. I won't buy pickups on eBay. If I'm buying a pickup, it's going to be straight from the company, just to be sure. Vinny says he's seen fake EMGs. Yeah. You can fake everything today, man. It's scary. I probably have some fake stuff and don't even know it. I've probably been taken advantage of too. J. Paul says lots of fake invaders, slap some oversized poles on it, and it fools a lot of folks. Ian Guitar Shack says I bought a fake Sir SM57 on eBay. Even that? Seriously? How do you know it's fake, Ian? How did you find out it was fake? There's a lot of those, the larger 57s, the SM57Bs, you know, the big ones. There's a lot of those fake. Let me just see if I can find one. The podcasting ones, you know what? You know what I'm talking. And they're hard to tell. They're so hard to tell if it's fake or not. The SM7Bs are the ones that I always see on like Craigslist, KGG, eBay. I will not buy them. You can be sure that I'm going to say 1 out of 2 of those are fake. And they're hard to tell. Even if you go to websites where they're supposed to be able to like spot a fake one, they tell you what to look for, but it's so subtle that you probably won't be able to tell. And it's bad, man. You know, if you haven't purchased one before, like if you already have one and you're playing with it, you know, using the microphone, and you try the other one, you're like, something's not right here because they don't sound the same. Side by side, there's a difference. But it's hard to tell if you've never actually used one before. You're just going to buy it and you're going to say, well, I don't like the sound of it. You know, it doesn't sound good to me. I don't know why people rave about these things. They don't sound good. And it's just because you got a fake. Unfortunately. It sucks. I hate to be taken advantage of, but it happens more than you think. What are you going to do? You know, I don't have any tips for you guys. Just be careful out there. That's all you can do. Dan says was looking for an Ibanez Talman on eBay last week. 4 different sites listed the same item with different prices and the same photos. Really makes you question on overseas purchases. Yeah, man. And you know, going back to the Gibsons, a lot of times when you're looking at this information of Gibson guitars, the stuff that they're showing you, the photos they're actually showing you are oftentimes real Gibsons. So you're looking at the guitar saying, hey, that doesn't look half bad. But it's a photo of a real Gibson. That's not what you're going to get. You're going to get the Etsy version of that guitar, which is basically a facsimile of that guitar, but it's not going to be the same. Far from it. Live and learn. Dave says, yeah, the youth, they won't make any good music unless, of course, they return to those same old tired scales and licks that made SRV famous. Copy and paste. As I said, guys, soon we won't have to worry about it because it's all going to be generated by AI anyways. You know, so I think AI is going to radically change the music industry, and I don't think it's going to be for the better. It'll be different, but I don't know if that's going to be for the better. I think we might end up as dinosaurs soon. You know, the guys that actually took the time to learn how to pluck those strings, you know, analog strings that need to vibrate and be picked up by a magnet. Such like old technology. They're going to just, you know, knock out songs in a matter of minutes and say, just generate me a song that sounds like a song from Led Zeppelin 1 and mix Jimmy Page style leads with Eddie Van Halen and keep the John Bonham sound, but make it sound a little bit more jazz fusion-y, you know, and that's where we're going to end up getting. Oh, and throw in some lyrics that mention my name in it. I'm laughing, guys, but it's a nervous laugh because I have a feeling that's where it's going to go. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking towards anyways. Let me pull up the poll question while we're on the topic. You guys do know that the poll question is located in the community tab of the Addicted to Gear channel. Hopefully you know that. That's where I post it almost every week. And so the poll question today was rather simple. It was a question regarding frets. What's your take on adapting to jumbo frets on a guitar? Have you tried it? Some of you out there might consider jumbo frets as your favorite type of frets. Some of you might not like the jumbo frets at all. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. We got 102 votes out of the bunch. And 47% of you said that you love the jumbo frets. So you chose the answer, love them. They make bending and vibrato so much easier. 47% of you. Wow, that's a pretty big number considering. I didn't think it would be so big. The second most popular answer on the poll is never tried them, but I'm curious about how they feel. Now, I've tried them. And I gotta say, they do take a little bit of getting used to. The jumbo frets do have a specific feel to them. And I feel it's easy to throw the strings out of tune if you basically press down on the strings a little bit too aggressively. I'm a pretty aggressive player, I have to say. I like to like really hit those strings hard. And especially, you know, even my vibrato is like pretty, like, you know, it's pretty aggressive. It's like, you know, it's going to be like, and I tend to press. So I kind of like slap the string down. So if you do that on a thicker frets or jumbo frets and you press really hard, you can easily throw the sound out of tune and make the string go sharp. So yeah, you got to be a little bit, you got to lay off a little bit on the pressure of your picking hand. 19% of you said they're okay, but not my favorite. Medium frets work better for me. I kind of fall into that category. I like the jumbo frets from time to time on certain guitars, but I wouldn't say it's my go-to. I prefer mediums. I think mediums are where I feel the most comfortable. And then 8% of you said not a fan. I find jumbo frets uncomfortable to play on. So maybe it also depends on what style of music you're playing. So for me, I'm going to say mediums are where I'm comfortable at. I do have a couple of guitars where I do have the vintage style string frets, which are very thin. Not a big fan, but I'll kind of make do. I'll make the best of it just because I like the guitar that they're on. Eventually, when it comes time for a refret, I probably would put mediums on there. Dave says boomers did the most damage to modern music. We did it in the 80s when we slammed all the people coming up in the 80s because they didn't clone the 60s and the 70s bands. You know, looking backwards, it's interesting to see how the trend evolves. Looking forward is not as obvious. Dave says after we browbeat them out of the game, then we cried there was nobody coming up. And Dave says, hair metal players played better blues than the blues guys at the time. They kind of did. I mean, they took it up, they kicked it up a notch. They made it interesting again, I'm going to say, right? And then Dave says, I hate to tell you how many boomers tried to tell me Steve Vai was inferior to Trower. Yeah, you know, I mean, things evolve and evolve rather quickly, and I'm interested to see where the next steps are going to bring us. It's going to be interesting to really see what's, you know, is it going to be, you know, led by technology or by talent? My opinion is that it's going to be the two are going to merge. There's going to be a lot of garbage at first with AI. People are going to be going crazy with the technology and like, oh, look at me, I could generate 10 songs a day, and you know, they're not half bad, and people are just gonna ride that wave. Eventually people are gonna embrace that technology and figure out how to merge, you know, art with technology, and they'll probably bring it to another level. But we're gonna have to probably wade through a lot of garbage first before we get to that stage. Interesting, but at the same time scary, I think. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've been talking for an hour and a half, going onto an hour and 40 minutes. I appreciate you guys stopping by today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And like I always say, I look forward to the Sunday live shows because I can actually get a little heartbeat from you guys and see how you guys are doing and what you guys are interested in, and gives us a good opportunity to connect. So I appreciate that. If you guys can give me a thumbs up on the way out, I would also appreciate that. Always great to see your support. Of course, if you're not already subscribed to the Addicted to Gear channel, that's number one. That's paramount. You know, just hit that little subscribe button and enjoy the videos that I put out on a regular basis. I do work hard on those videos, and it does take a lot of time. And you know, of course, you're the reason I do it. So please encourage me to keep it up if you like what we're doing here, and you want to see more. It's as simple as that. And if you have any questions, last minute questions, now's your opportunity before we wrap it up. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day. I'm going to let you guys loose so you can go and play your instruments and practice your guitar a little bit more. And then we'll regroup next Sunday. Actually, now that I think of it, might not be next Sunday. There may be a change in schedule next Sunday. I'm just thinking because I might not actually be around next Sunday. So I'll let you guys know, but if it's not Sunday, we'll just reschedule it for another day next week. Maybe it'll be an evening show. Who knows? Either way, stay tuned. I'll let you know when the next show is going to pop up, and we'll take it from there. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your time off on this glorious Sunday and get as much playing time in as you can. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You made it a lot of fun. See you next week. Cheers.